All right. I'm back from a weekend away at a swimming competition. I'm down one rotator cuff, a terrible goatee. Did my fingers in trying to put on a swimsuit. Look, we're battered, a bit broken, but we're back. And we've got some news, haven't we? I haven't really spoken, well, I haven't had a chance to make a Bristol City video this weekend. And some news broke on Friday while I was away that we've got two emerging candidates that have been, well, made it to, I guess, the final interview stage for the Bristol City job, being Gerhard Struber and Rob Edwards. So we're going to cover all of that news. It won't be necessarily brand new at this stage, but I can give my thoughts. And apparently, a potential new signing had been spotted at Feyland over the weekend. So we're going to talk about him. We are going to talk about him. As with most of these streams, I am going to use Twitter to drive this, if that's all right. We'll start at the bottom. So Ross Arnott from the ITV, sports reporter for the West Country, seems, I would suggest, a pretty legitimate journalist, was mentioning that final interviews were taking place on Friday for the Bristol City job. The final two being Austrian manager, as we know, Gerhard Struber, and Luton boss, well, former Luton boss, Rob Edwards. We've made a video on covering both of these managers, so I think we know kind of the pluses and negative points, probably of both. But yeah, these are our two. And I got to say, overall, I'm quite happy with that. If I see a tweet from Bristol City this week saying that Gerhard Struber is our new manager, I won't be too upset. And if I saw a tweet saying Rob Edwards was our new manager, I also wouldn't be too upset. The only thing that kind of puts me off is, well, they're probably going to say yes to the job, I suppose, if they've gotten to that final interview stage. But I believe both of these managers would want to see some ambition from the owners, right? Which hopefully we get this summer. So that's obviously the news. Let us know in the chat who you want. It's obviously not breaking news, but it's still a discussion point, right? I'm hoping we get something from Bristol City early next week to say who our new gaffer is, because surely they would know by now, right? I mean, I've interviewed a few people and done a bit of recruitment in my day job. And you know, basically, as soon as you have a final interview, who's got the job. You should, have a gut feel as to who's going to get it. So I'm sure an emerging candidate has come out of those two. Well, Chris, mate, I got you covered in my last video, spoken all about him. So feel free to check that out after this stream. We had an interesting tweet. I don't know how much truth there is to it, but it was interesting, so I thought I'd cover it. Apparently, according to Reluctant Nico on Twitter, who has some football knowledge, 137,000 Twitter followers, and stuff behind a Patreon paywall. That's exactly what we're talking about, EFL Fantasy Josh. The Blazeman then followed it up by saying, Sheffield United are looking into appointing Brian Tinian as their director of football, who obviously Brian Tinian is our current director of football. I thought that was interesting. What else have we got? A poll, Robin Zone, 995 votes, 65% going for Struber, and 34.5% saying they want Edwards as their manager. So that's pretty interesting. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't know how recently this one was taken, but there's someone on Snapchat with obviously hanging out by the looks of it with Anis Mehmeti, and you can see there Anis Mehmeti is wearing a Bolton Wanderers hoodie. Not entirely sure the context around this picture or where/when it was taken, but I thought that was quite interesting. I saw that over the last few days. I also saw a TikTok, I don't know if this is a viral one, I guess it's Mayulu's brother, isn't it? And Doué, the PSG player who did really well in the Champions League final, hanging out with Fally, old Fally, making some connections. So, essentially we could be signing Doué for... No, I'm joking. But I thought that was quite cool. He's in Beverly Hills the weekend, obviously enjoying his off-season. Essentially, my opinion, to be honest, I probably think Struber is more suited to the current squad that we've got. But I'd be happy, personally, with either Struber or Edwards. I did a couple of opinion polls, because I thought that would be quite useful. So yeah, I basically asked, right? I asked for people's opinions on whether you think Bristol City have done a good enough job of communicating what's happening around our new manager, right? And I kind of have a mixed view on it, I suppose. I was a little bit brash on Twitter last week saying, why haven't the club said anything? But at the same time, there's not really anything to update on, is there? And I think, to be honest, their updates have been leaking information to the press. And we know who the final two are between Gerhard Struber and Rob Edwards at this point, don't we? So I think we've had our communication, albeit through the press as opposed to officially through the club. So yeah, apparently though, 85% of people that answered that poll had 128 votes saying they weren't happy with how the club have communicated. And then I had a 50-50, so exactly down the middle, 50-50, which I thought was quite interesting. I asked a general question: are you confident that we can recruit a good manager, that Bristol City will recruit a good manager? And it was 50-50, yes or no, which I thought was quite interesting. I didn't put any of my opinions in it. I think I probably would have answered no to this first one. I don't think I would have expected daily updates on our search, but maybe a little bit more information from the ownership and the board when Manning got sacked as to their plans and expectations around a new manager. So I probably would have answered no to this. And then I've got to say, despite all we can say about people say about the club's ownership, right? The last two managers that Bristol City have recruited have been pretty good ones, right? We had Nigel Pearson, who steadied a ship that could well have sunk. And then we recruited Liam Manning, who got us our first playoff place in nearly 2 decades. So I think the managerial recruitment of recent by Bristol City has been pretty good. And I'm confident that they will recruit a good manager, I think. Reasonable track record in recent years of, I guess, recruitment on the most part. We've signed some really good players and obviously some not so good ones. And we've gotten 2 good managers. And also, I just think it's so easy to get a good manager at the moment. Like, there are a lot of good managers on the market. More so, I think, than when we got rid of Nigel Pearson, to be fair. And then we've got some news of a new signing. So a chap named Adam Randall, midfielder named Adam Randall from Plymouth. He was at the Bristol City training ground this weekend, apparently. I'm going to look at Feb's on Twitter's stats. Hopefully you can see that on your screen on YouTube. Obviously the text is quite small. But from this list, I can basically ascertain that he is a hard-working, no-nonsense midfielder, basically. Hopefully I'm not mistaken in saying that. But he looks like he could potentially, if we were to lose Jason Knight, slip into the role of Jason Knight. He is in very high in terms of the percentiles of winning the ball, basically. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jason Knight made the most ball recoveries of any players in Europe's top 5 leagues. So, yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, obviously that's something to say about Rob Edwards, isn't it? Because he was the leading candidate for the Middlesbrough job as well. In fact, off screen, I'm just going to see what Middlesbrough are saying about Rob Edwards as well. I'm not going to share my Twitter feed on screen just in case I get something incriminating on there. Because what's quite interesting is the Borough fans didn't seem all that happy that Rob Edwards was being shortlisted for their job. Also, one thing I wanted to show you was Roy the Alien. He seems to think that Struber is the last man. Struber is the last man and the deal is done. It's not Rob Edwards. Roy the Alien has gone early and gone for Struber. So I thought that one was quite interesting. Going to go back to Rob Edwards just to see if there's any Middlesbrough news. I think there's a bit of general disappointment about Rob Edwards in going to Middlesbrough. Nothing official on that one yet either. So we're going to go on odds checker a second, and I'm going to check the current odds. Bristol City next manager. Oh, that's my last video. It's Adam Randall. Anyway. What have we got? What have we got? Here we go. What's going on here? Hang on. Something's gone wrong. Something's gone badly wrong. Is betting suspended on it then? One would assume that betting is suspended then on who could be the next Bristol City manager. Sorry, I'm just Googling it off screen. And I can't actually see anything. Next permanent manager odds, I'm not getting anything. Interesting. So I would assume that means manager interesting was taken off the market on Friday. Okay. I was going to check something else and I've forgotten what I was going to check. So yeah, that's the news. Let me know what you think in the chat. So it's Gerhard Struber or Rob Edwards to be our latest manager. And we potentially got a new signing coming to Bristol City in the name of Adam Randall. Looks like a pretty, I would suggest that's a fairly similar player profile to Jason Knight. He played 39 of 46 championship games, 1 goal, 3 assists. Pretty similar numbers really to Jason Knight. Yeah. Stevie G was odds on. Oh, we'll have a look at the Borough. That's what I was going to look at. Borough manager odds. Let's have a quick look at that. Middlesbrough next permanent manager odds. So yeah, Rob Edwards is top. Gerrard's second by the looks of it. But it's pretty close. And then Danny Roll. That's what's going on there. Anything else I wanted to go through? I think that was about it. Let me know what you think of all that in the chat. We'll go back to that tweet. Yeah, Stevie G's in contention by the looks of it for the Borough job. Yeah, that's fair enough, Chris, on the communication. That's fair enough. Randall is interception magnet. That's what we like to see. That's what we like to see. It seems weird to me that we'd be signing a player when we don't have a manager. You're probably right. Although I was saying this when I was talking about the players that we should sign. And I think if we're going for Randall, does that, reading between the lines, does that suggest that the people in charge of recruitment at Bristol City think that we're going to lose Jason Knight this summer and we immediately want to replace him? That's basically sorting out a replacement before he's even gone, isn't it? So that's quite interesting. And also whether... One player that didn't get spoken about a whole lot, actually, we were talking about players that Manning could potentially take with him to Norwich. One of them, I think, could be Nahki Wells. And I tell you what, another one could be McGuane, because he signed him from Oxford, didn't he? I think he really likes McGuane. I think McGuane could be off too. It's either, well, I certainly think they're preparing for Knight, but I would actually think that Manning could go for McGuane at Norwich as well. But yeah, I think it just suggests Jason Knight is off and they're looking for a player that most matches up to his profile, basically. And manager or no manager, I think replacing a player with the qualities that Jason Knight has, and it sounds like Randall would fit sort of any system, really. Any manager would be happy to have him. But it basically confirms that Knight's off. And I'm pretty sure, shock, we've had some interest from Bournemouth for him, haven't we? So yeah, keep the chats coming in. I'll stay live for another 5 minutes or so. We can have a bit of chat about Bristol City, and then I'm going to shoot off. In the meantime, I spent my weekend at a swimming competition. I don't know if anyone's actually interested in hearing about this. Unfortunately, I have come away with a rather nasty rotator cuff injury, so I can't really lift my arm all that much. But I raced in a couple of relays. I got a silver medal. The old British Masters Championship, so there you go, as a silver medal. And then in the other relay I got a bronze. So there you go, bronze and silver medal. Pretty happy with that. But I don't really have a voice left because I was cheering on most of my teammates. So yeah, I'm down a shoulder and I'm down a voice, but there you go. That's what I've been up to. Spencer prefers Struber as the next manager as he did a good job at Barnsley when he was there and his win percentages are good, yes. The 2 up top thing is interesting, though. In fact, this is what I want to show. I was a little bit sceptical as to whether 2 up front works for Bristol City at the moment. I'm not sure 2 up front is our formation. But I'm pretty sure he can play a 4-2-3-1 as well. It's just for me, I don't even think we have one striker in our squad that I'd want to start week in, week out, let alone 2. So, yeah. There was, in fact, if we go, is it on this slide? Which slide's it on? No, it's not. It's not on any of these slides. But yeah, I was looking at our team and I was thinking, I think the squad has been built with a view for it to be a 4-2-3-1 team. I think that's the mindset that Brian Tinian is trying to put across with this squad. And I think Struber probably is more suited to that. And I think, if I remember rightly, Manning started playing a 4-2-3-1 with Bristol City. When we beat West Ham, did we play a 4-2-3-1? I can't remember. I remember beating Southampton under Manning when we played a 4-2-3-1. And then he kind of reverted to a three at the back. And I think that was partly because he didn't trust his centre-backs, to be honest, and he wanted them to have a bit more cover. But I do think we're a 4-2-3-1 squad, which probably suits Struber a little bit more. Edwards, I think, at both Forest Green and Luton, played three at the back, didn't he? So yeah, that's kind of my thoughts. To be honest, I'd be happy with both. I really like Rob Edwards as both a human being and a manager, and I think Gerhard Struber would do a good job for us as well. So I'd be quite happy with both of them, to be honest. Well, if you've got nothing else in the chat, I might shoot off, have some dinner. I think I've earned a steak for my weekend's work, so I'm going to go and have a steak now, I reckon. All right. I think we'll end it there. Cheers, everyone. That was 16 minutes worth of a video just to round up the news we got over the weekend. And hopefully a new Bristol City manager announcement is imminent. I'd imagine if you were the football club, right, you had final interviews on Friday, you probably might have the weekend to think about things. I mean, decision makers being Brian Tinian, John Lansdowne, maybe a bit of finance in there as well, whoever our CFO is, and Steve. Those four are probably the key. And then it sort of goes from there, doesn't it? So maybe they've had the weekend to mull it over and we get an announcement Monday, Tuesday. And then I'll try my best to go live to react to it as soon as I possibly can, basically. All right, we'll leave it there. Cheers, everyone.